the 9th of June, 1899, Volume 2. The very grave sin of abortion. Union of sufferings and of prayers. I spent this morning very anguished because of the many offences which I saw him receive from men, especially because of certain horrendous dishonesties. How much the loss of souls grieved Jesus. More so, since it was a newborn baby that they were going to kill without administering holy baptism to him. It seems to me that this sin weighs so much on the scale of divine justice that it is the one that most cries out for revenge before God. Yet these sorrowful scenes are renewed so very often. My most sweet Jesus was so afflicted as to arouse pity. Seeing him in such a state, I did not dare to tell him anything, and Jesus just told me, "My daughter, unite your sufferings to mine, your prayers to mine, so that they may be more acceptable before the majesty of God, and may appear not as your things, but as my works." Then he continued to make himself seen other times, but always in silence. May the Lord be always blessed. End of the reading. The 9th of June, 1912, Volume 11. One who does the will of God and lives in his volition is not subject to death nor to judgment. His life is eternal. Feeling a little in suffering, I was saying to my always adorable Jesus, "When will you take me with you? Please hurry, O Jesus. Let death cut this life of mine and let me reunite with you in heaven." And Jesus, "My daughter, for the soul who does my will and lives in my volition, there is no death. Death is for one who does not do my will, because he has to die to many things, to himself, to passions, and to the earth. But one who lives in my will has nothing left to die for. He's already used to living in heaven. For him, death is nothing other than setting down his remains, as one would remove the clothes of a poor one to wear the garments of a king, in order to reach exile and reach the fatherland. The soul who lives in my will is not subject to death and receives no judgment. His life is eternal. All that death had to do, love did in advance, and my will reordered him completely in me, so that I have nothing for which to judge him. Therefore remain in my will, and when you least expect it, you will find yourself in my will in heaven. End of the reading. The 9th of June, 1922, Volume 14. Jesus wants to rest in the soul. Everything in him is merciful love. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus would come very often, and sometimes he would lean his head upon mine, telling me, "My daughter, I need rest. The uncreated intelligence wants to rest in the created intelligence, but in order to find true rest, I should find in your intelligence all the glory and the contentment which all other intelligences should give me. Therefore, my will wants to expand your capacity to be able to find this rest. No, I am not content if my will does not place in you all that the others should give me." Then he seemed to breathe over my intelligence, and it remained as though chained by many threads of light for as many created minds as came out of the hands of our Creator. And each thread of light said, "Glory, gratitude, honour to my God, thrice holy." And Jesus said, yes, now I can rest. I find the return of the intelligence of creation, and the created mind is fused with the uncreated mind. Afterwards, he leaned his head upon my heart, and it seemed that he could not find complete rest. So he placed his mouth over my heart and breathed in it, At each breath, my heart became larger. Then he added, "Daughter, I am determined to rest. Therefore, I want to breathe into your heart so much as to place in it all the love which all the rest of creation should give me. My rest cannot be perfect if I do not find the return of the love which came out from me. Therefore, I want to find in this heart the love that all should give me. My volition will make this prodigy in you, and your heart will have a note for everyone which will say to me, 'Love.'" Then he leaned his head on my heart again and rested. How beautiful it was to see Jesus resting. Then he disappeared and came back, and now he wanted to rest on my hands, now on my shoulder. It seemed that he wanted to see whether all of my person was fit to let him rest. Afterwards he added, "My beloved, how much love I feel for you. All the love which I should give to others and which they refuse, I concentrate in you. In you I hear the echo of my creative word. Let us make man in our image and likeness, and I see the fulfillment of it. Ah, our will alone will make man return to his first origin. Our will cast all the divine impressions into the human will, and overwhelming one will within the other, it will carry him on its wings into the arms of his Creator. Not ugly as sin rendered him, but pure, beautiful, and similar to his Creator. Therefore, I want you to receive all the impressions of my will into yours, so that heaven and earth may recognize nothing but divine will acting in you, by which they will feel as though overwhelmed, and all will receive the good of the divine work in the creature. Therefore, be ready in everything and be faithful to me." After this, he came back again, but all afflicted, he told me. "I feel sad when they think that I am severe and that I make more use of justice than of mercy. They are with me as if I were to strike them in each thing. Oh, how dishonoured I feel by these ones. In fact, this leads them to remain at due distance from me. And one who is distant cannot receive all the fusion of my love. And while they are the ones who do not love me, they think that I am severe and almost a being that strikes fear, while by just taking a look at my life, they can only notice that I did only one act of justice, when in order to defend the house of my father, I took the ropes and snapped them to the right and to the left, to drive out the profanators. All the rest was only mercy. Mercy, my conception, my birth, my words, my works, my steps, the blood I shed, my pains, everything in me was merciful love. Yet they fear me, while they should fear themselves more than me. End of the reading. The 9th of June, 1929, Volume 26. Inseparability of one who lives in the divine will. Example of the breath. Example of the sun, how it lords over everything and goes in search of everything. Such is the divine will. Contest between the two suns. My abandonment in the divine fiat is continuous, and its light eclipses my little intelligence so much that I can do nothing else but think now about one truth, now about another, concerning the divine will. And the more I think about it, the more beautiful and majestic it makes itself before me. And with an unspeakable love, more than a tender mother, it opens its womb of light and delivers a birth of light to enclose it in its little daughter. Now, while I was in this state, my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, each breath is the life of the next one that follows, so much so that as one is about to release one breath, before it is emitted completely, it calls for another breath. So it can be said that the breath has its life and gives life to the creature because it is continuous. They are so united and close among themselves as to be inseparable, and so also for the beating of the heart. One heartbeat calls for the life of the next heartbeat, and the continuous beating forms the life. So much so that if the breathing and the beating cease, life no longer exists. Such is the soul who does and lives in my will. Her identification, her closeness with it, is such and so great, more than our breaths and heartbeats close among themselves. Therefore, the acts done in my divine fiat are like many breaths or heartbeats that the creature does in God, in such a way that she becomes the divine breathing, and my fiat forms her breathing. So it is life that they mutually exchange to form one single life. Therefore, the acts done in our will are inseparable from us, and we feel the contentment of breathing our work and of feeling as our own the work that has come out of us, and of letting her live in our house, and so close to us as to breathe her very breath. Then I continued doing my acts in the adorable fiat, and my always lovable Jesus added, "My daughter, from the height of its sphere, the sun extends its great wheel of light and embraces the earth, giving it the life of its effects of light, so as to make it germinate. It gives the kiss of life of its light to each plant, to each flower, to each tree, so as to impress upon each plant, for some the life of fragrance, for some colour, for some sweetness. It wants to give its embrace and kiss of life to all. It denies itself to no one. It does not reject whatever the thing might be, even the tiniest blade of grass. On the contrary, wanting to act as a queen who wants to pour her own self out, the light itself goes in search of all. It wants to recognize everything, so as to form in all things the life that is needed for each plant. It would not feel itself queen, nor the right to be queen, if its light did not give its life to everything. So much so that in its great wheel of light, it encloses everything. And it seems that all lap up the life, the beauty, the variety of colours, the growth from the light of the sun. Nor does it skip over the sea, the rivers, the mountains, to form in them its silvery tints, and the horizon of gold and of silver in the background behind them. Oh, how the sun lords over everything with its light, but not in order to oppress or do harm to anyone, rather to vivify, to embellish, and to give itself as life of everything. It seems that in its mute silence, it says to all, "How much I love you. My love is as vast as my great wheel of light. My love for the earth is substantial and full of life. Nor do I ever change. From the height of my sphere, I am always at my place to embrace it, love it, and give it life. Therefore, the earth lives within the great wheel of its light, and each thing keeps its mouth open in order to receive the life of the effects of the light of the sun. Oh, if, may this never be, the sun could withdraw from the earth, or the earth could oppose receiving the goods and the life of the light of the sun, there would be no daylight, but perennial night time, and the earth would remain without life, without colour. Sweetness would not exist, more than squalid misery. What a dismal change! What terror would the earth become! Such is my divine will, more than sun for creatures. In its endless great wheel of light, it goes in search of everyone to make itself be recognised and to form in each creature its life of beauty, of sanctity, of light, and of infinite sweetness. It wants to destroy all bitternesses, uglinesses, miseries in them, and with its kiss of life, breathing over them, it wants to transform them into what is good, beautiful, and holy. But alas, the sun created by my fiat does so many prodigies for the earth, and with its own unique majesty, it lays over it its mantle of light, of beauty, and at each of its touches, it gives the life it possesses to each plant. And my fiat remains with the sorrow of not being able to communicate the goods it possesses and its divine life to souls, because they oppose receiving it and do not want to lap up the light of my volition. And therefore they are like the earth if it could oppose receiving the light of the sun. In full night time, squalid, weak, and many of them are terrifying to look at. My divine will is pregnant with so many divine lives, of so many beauties, and of so many goods that it wants to give to them. It would want to pour its own self out in order to enclose the creatures within its womb of light, and to make each one of them a prodigy of sanctity, of beauty, one distinct from the other, to form its heaven on earth. But the human will opposes it. And my fiat feels the intense pain, more than the mother when she cannot deliver her child to the light. And so this is why, my daughter, my divine will wants to make itself known. It wants to form its kingdom, because these children belonging to it will live voluntarily within and of its light. They will remain with their mouths open to receive its kisses, its embraces, and its affections, in order to form its divine life in them. Then, yes, will the prodigies that my volition knows how to do and can do be seen. Everything will be transformed, and the earth will become heaven. And then the sun that is there under the vault of the heavens and the sun of my eternal volition will hold hands. Even more, they will engage in a contest to see that one can make more prodigies, the sun for the earth and my will for souls. But my will make greater display, so much so as to form a new enchantment of prodigious beauties never before seen for the whole of heaven and for all the earth. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.